Welcome to the John Cady podcast. I'm John Cady, U.S. Navy retired former minister. As we're all painfully aware by now, the hits just keep on coming when it comes to this government shutdown. Here in Oklahoma, we're trying our best to have funds available at the state level to help families in need, but it's not going to be enough. The controversy on both sides of the aisle is getting bad because the general consensus is that neither side really gives a damn about the American people. There have been pundits talking about the Democrats being largely responsible for the shutdown. Actions such as House Speaker Mike Johnson not pushing for standalone legislation to at least keep vital programs funded until they could get everything fixed, that's setting a bad precedent for the Republicans as well. So both parties are going to expect to see things get really ugly in the midterm elections. One of the other areas that has been hit hard and nobody talks about, but now as the holidays are getting closer, we're going to have to bring this up. It's about the air traffic controllers, our nation's airports. Since October, our air traffic controllers have largely been working without pay, and the Transportation Department is now looking at being forced to start furloughing these air traffic controllers because you can't keep having them work without pay forever. It just doesn't work that way in the real world. They've got families to take care of like everybody else. And the stress placed on them because now they're working through a shutdown, they're not getting paid, their families aren't being taken care of. It's starting to put a greater sense of distrust there as well. As the number of air traffic controllers at our airports starts to decline, that's going to result in flight cancellations. Being able to fly across country to visit family for Thanksgiving and Christmas is going to become a lot more difficult and painful this year, folks. And you can blame 535 people for that. That's right. I'm blaming the whole lot of them because nobody's hands are clean in this. Another area that's being brought up more and more is the subject about Medicaid and Medicare. We all know about what Medicare and Medicaid are to help the senior citizens. That's Medicare. Medicaid is to help low-income people. And the funding for those programs is going to become dicey at best in the coming months. Now, here's the breakdown. I did a little research on here. In Medicare coverage and payments, Medicare coverage for beneficiaries and payments to providers will generally continue. Claims processing, now there will be temporary delays. That's going to happen. Reduced services and oversight. That's happening too. The staffing of the Medicare offices is going to be smaller for the time being. Oversight activities for contractors and routine facility surveys are suspended or significantly reduced. What does that mean? That means the quality of the program is going to suffer as well. And specific program impacts, well, key legislative provisions such as expanded telehealth flexibilities often expire during a shutdown, which can disrupt care for millions of beneficiaries who rely on those services. People who have mobility challenges or who live in remote areas, they're not going to be able to do what they need to do in a doctor's office, so telehealth is the next best thing. Medicaid. Federal payments to states for Medicaid and the Children's Health Insurance Program, or CHIP, will generally continue for a period, often the first quarter of the fiscal year due to advance appropriations. Now, that's a key thing to look at because we're good to go for right now, folks, but if this keeps dragging on, we got to start looking at you need to get your heads out of your butts and end this shutdown and fund everything that needs to be funded because you're going to be talking about millions of low-income families and their children are going to be suffering because now they're not going to get the care they need. Beneficiaries should still be able to access medical care without immediate disruption. Now there's the term immediate. State-level impact. While federal funds continue, the shutdown can still affect the respective states. State Medicaid offices may experience a slowdown in federal guidance, program support, and the review of state-level policy changes such as amendments or waivers. If the shutdown is extremely prolonged, some states could eventually face significant financial strain, potentially leading to provider reimbursement delays, although this is rare. In summary, the most immediate and critical effects are generally felt by providers who face payment uncertainty and delays, and by beneficiaries who rely on reduced services like telehealth and may experience delays in non-essential casework or getting help from federal staff. That's a quick rundown there of what's happening as far as people's health care is concerned. But as this shutdown continues, and we are now at a record, this is the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. And so far, there hasn't been too much said on either side of the aisle as far as how we're going to end this. Well, the American people are getting fed up. Some parts of the country are already having these EBT riots breaking out. For those who live in areas where these EBT riots are happening, okay, I understand the frustration. Here in Oklahoma, we have a surprisingly large percentage of residents who rely on SNAP. We have a population of about just under 5 million people, but almost 800,000 Oklahoma residents rely on SNAP. That's a pretty high percentage. So I totally get that when it comes to the need of having affordable and available food. Individual stores are setting up donation drives to help with the food banks. Other charities are trying to step in to help feed families, especially with, again, Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. Nobody wants to see children going hungry over the holidays. I sure don't. The time has come for both parties to quit messing around, quit using the people's lives for leverage. That's dragged on far enough, and frankly, the whole lot of them, I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican, the whole lot of them just simply need to be voted out. This also bolsters my opinion on term limits. Just like you have a shelf life, an expiration date for a lot of your common grocery items. Milk, eggs, cheese, meat, they all have an expiration date. You don't want to eat it past that. Well, politicians are the same way. You let them sit in Washington for too long, they lose touch with their constituents and they start making decisions independent of what the needs of the people where they live. Yeah, this just furthers the need to have term limits on them, just like we had to put term limits on the president. This has gone on too long. There should be no such thing as a government shutdown. That's just stupid. But one thing that came out of that is the Democratic Party even admitted that they've been using it for leverage because they're holding the American people hostage, but the Republicans are just as guilty by not fighting back enough to push standalone legislation. So both sides are guilty, and both sides need a major house cleaning in 2026. This is John Cady. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you like the content I present, hit like, hit subscribe, share your family and friends about me, and I'll catch you on the next one.